Hmm. Good afternoon to one and all. Okay, we will discuss regarding next one point is that excitation circuits. Okay, what is the need of excitation circuits? What is meant by excitation circuit? Types of sensor. There is a requirement of excitation circuit. Of the sensor by excitation circuit required. Which one? Which sensor required the excitation circuit? Classification of sensor मध्ये already सांगितलेलं आहे. So this is an interfacing circuitry. Excitation means what? What is excitation? External source किंवा external voltage किंवा current source काय करायचं आहे? Apply करायचं, right? We are applying external source, that is nothing but excitation. Which sensor required the excitation? Which sensor required excitation? MCQ का question है. बघा क्लासिफिकेशन मध्ये आहे हा. So active type of sensor, passive set, active set. To enable its operation, there is a requirement of excitation signal or excitation source. Okay, active type of sensor साठी ब्लॉक डायग्राम जर लक्षात आले असेल तर त्याच्यामध्ये ऑल एक्सप्लेनेशन होतं. So active type of sensor or some active type of sensor require some external source for their operation or to enable its operation. There is a requirement of excitation signal, that is, it is the one electronic circuitry required to excite that active signal. Active signal ला excite करण्यासाठी electronic circuitry required है. So see, external signal are required. What is excitation? The external signal which are required for operation of the active sensor. Right? To enable the operation of active sensor, there is an external circuit or external signal it is required. There is an external voltage source, external current source it will be required. Then we can call it as this is the excitation circuit for that active sensor. So in DC motor there are three types of motor: separately excited, self-excited, and another one permanent magnet. Right? So separately excited म्हणजे separately excited देतोय आपण त्याला, separate एक DC source यूज करून excitation देतोय. Self excited म्हणजे स्वतः जनरेट झालेली इलेक्ट्रिसिटी excitation of coil साठी देतोय. So self excited आणि permanent magnet. So permanent magnet is having an its excitation or it will be flux generation, it is natural. Yeah. So see, external signal which are required for the operation of active sensor. So excitation circuitry is required. This is one of the interfacing circuit required for that active sensor. The active sensor ला एक interfacing circuit है. Without that circuit, that sensor cannot work. So that it is an interfacing circuit required for that sensor. So example we have given in the classification, that is thermistor or RTD, temperature dependent resistor. To enable the operation of temperature dependent resistor, we require one of the source. एखादा current source पाहिजे, ज्यावेळेस त्याच्यामधून current flow होईल. At that situation, according to heat law, I square RT, I square amount of current it will be flowing from R amount of resistor for T time. heat loss, so that there is a heat generation, and that RTD it will sense that temperature or maybe heat. It is excited by using any one of the current generator or current source. See, example are the absolute temperature sensor, thermistor, and RTD. Again, some of the pressure sensor, piezoresistive type of sensor and capacitive type of sensor, it will also require some excitation. To enable its operation, म्हणजे त्याचं ऑपरेशन ऑन करण्यासाठी किंवा त्यांना स्टिम्युलस सेन्स करण्यासाठी त्याला काहीतरी एनर्जीची गरज आहे, एक्सटर्नल एनर्जीची. That is nothing but it is provided by using excitation source or excitation energy. And displacement type of sensor like electromagnetic, capacitive type and resistive type of sensor require excitation, right? So that to enable the operation of active type of sensor, there are requirement is that excitation circuit. So we need to understand the excitation circuit. It is an interfacing circuit required to enable the operation of active sensor, right? See, different active sensor need different type of external signal for their operation. Okay, so different types of sensor like displacement sensor, it will require different excitation circuitry. Suppose consider RTD, it will require different types of excitation circuitry. So depending on the sensor, these may be constant voltage. Some sensor it will be required constant voltage. Some sensor it will be required a constant current. It may be sinusoidal or it may be pulsating current. काहीला sinusoidal current need असेल, काहीला pulsating current need असेल. It may even be light, magnetic field or ionizing radiation. So these are some of the excitation signal like constant voltage. Some sensor require constant voltage, some sensor require constant current, depending upon the sensor. Which types of sensor is there? That is active sensor, and for enable its operation, which types of signal is required? Whether requirement is of constant voltage, whether the requirement is of constant current, or it may be sinusoidal current, sinusoidal voltage, or it may be pulsating current. Some sensor required or to enable its operation, there is a requirement of light excitation source, again magnetic field requirement or ionizing radiation. Okay, the name for the external signal is the excitation signal or pilot signal. So this is the next question. That excitation signal, it is called as excitation signal or pilot signal. जो काय सिग्नल असेल एक्साइट करणारा म्हणजे कॉन्स्टंट व्होल्टेज असेल, either it may be sinusoidal or it may be pulsating, constant current असेल, sinusoidal pulsating. Some sensor required light excitation, some sensor required ionizing radiation. So this external signal which we are providing, that external signal, it is called as excitation signal or pilot signal. So in many cases, the stability and precision of excitation signal directly relate to the sensor accuracy and stability, right? So that means in many of the cases or maybe many of the sensor or system, the excitation signal, the stability and precision of excitation signal. Okay, so whether we are providing any one of the voltage source, whether this source is stable or not, that means stability of that source, precision of that source, so it will relate to the sensor accuracy and performance. So accuracy, performance as well as stability. Sensor ची stability किंवा sensor ची accuracy कशावरती depend राहील? Precision of excitation as well as stability of excitation. Okay, जर आपण दिलेले excitation stable नसेल, it may be variable, and that sensor it will not require variable, so their accuracy it may be changes. So depending upon excitation signal, or it is directly related to the accuracy of the sensor and stability of the sensor. Okay, so hence it is imperative to generate the signal with such accuracy that the overall performance of the sensing system is not degraded. So त्याला जो लागणारा सिग्नल आहे, so generate such a signal, generate the signal having an accuracy. So due to that signal, there is no degradation of sensor performance. Sensorच्या performance वरती त्याचे degradation झालं नाही. So that generates such types of signal depending upon type of sensor. म्हणजे सेन्सरला जसा सिग्नल पाहिजे, सपोज सेन्सर required constant voltage and the voltage providing to that sensor it is not constant, it is variable, then sensor accuracy or performance should be degraded or reduces. Okay, so that requirement is that the signal generated or provided to that sensor, it should be accurate. Okay, it should be accurate, and due to that sensor, due to that system or excitation signal, the performance of sensor should not be degraded. Performance should be good. Then there are several types of excitation circuit that can be used for sensor. So these are the several types can be given. Different types of excitation. There are 4 types of excitation. Okay. First one type of excitation signal is nothing but current generator. Okay. Current generator required for excitation of any sensor. Then voltage generator, that is whether it may be constant voltage or it may be variable voltage. So voltage generator, it is one of the excitation circuit. Then voltage reference and the oscillator. So these are the 4 types of excitation signal or the excitation circuits which is used for active type of sensor. Right? The 4 types of signal hai. So we will discuss little bit one by one. Current generator, voltage generator, voltage reference and oscillator. Okay. So first one, it is nothing but the current generator. See, what is current generator? It is the excitation signal which is provided to the active source, active sensor. Active sensors are used for this. A current generator, it is the device that produce electric current independent of the load impedance. Already current generator किंवा interface input characteristics बघितल्या, त्याच्यामध्ये current generator होता. So current generator, it is nothing but it is one type of device that produce an electric current. So electric current produce करतोय and which is independent of the load impedance. लोडच्या impedance वरती काय असेल? Independent असेल. That means it will generate a constant value of current. The load change होत असेल किंवा load increase or decrease होत असेल, there is a no effect on the current generated. So current generated, current may be constant. So it is one type of device that produce the electric current which is independent of the load impedance. The amplitude of its output current remains substantially independent of any change in the load and the power supply voltage. So that current source device, it is one type of device whose amplitude it is substantially independent. The amplitude this amplitude it is not dependent on the load impedance as well as it is not dependent on the supply voltage. जर supply voltage मध्ये पण variation असेल, okay, supply voltage or power supply voltage, if there is a variation, there is no effect on the generated current. That means current generator it should be constant. Generated होणारा current काय असेल? Constant असेल. Okay. So see, the amplitude of its output current remains substantially independent of any changes in the load and the power supply voltage. Power supply voltage or load impedance मध्ये जर change झाला तर त्याचा जो काही generated current असेल तो same असेल. Okay. So that means if such a types of excitation circuit it is used for any one of the active sensor, there is a sensor performance it should be good. There is no degradation of sensor performance. Again, current generators are often used as excitation circuit to feed sensor with predetermined current that within the limit are independent of the sensor properties, stimulus value or environmental factor. As a current generator, this current generator it will be used as a excitation to fed the sensor. त्या सेन्सरला एक्साइटेशन प्रोव्हाइड करण्यासाठी आपण यूज करतोय विथ प्रीडिटरमाइंड करंट व्हॅल्यू. त्याची जी काय सेन्सरची करंट व्हॅल्यू असेल म्हणजे करंट व्हॅल्यू प्रीडिटरमाइंड असेल, सपोज 10 एम्पियर करंट value, it will be constant for each and every operation for that type of active sensor. So that predetermined value within the limit, and that value are independent of the sensor property. The value जी आहे again sensor property वरती independent असेल, stimulus value वरती independent असेल, environmental factor ला पण independent असेल. That means this excitation source it will provide a constant value. ओके, त्याच्यावरती कशाचाच इफेक्ट होत नाहीये, स्टिम्युलसचा इफेक्ट होणार नाहीये, एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशनचा इफेक्ट होणार नाहीये, as well as सेन्सरच्या प्रॉपर्टीचा पण काही इफेक्ट होणार. सो इट विल प्रोड्यूस अ कॉन्स्टंट व्हॅल्यू. So it is said that an ideal current generator has infinitely high output resistance. So any series load will not change the output current. So in case of ideal current generator, its internal impedance it should be 0 or minimum. Ideal current source माहिती ना, internal impedance जसं मी बॅटरीचा काल सांगितला, प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्स मध्ये काहीतरी इंटरनल impedance असेल. So similarly, ideal current source is having a 0 internal impedance but large output impedance. So large or high output resistance or impedance. Because of high resistance, if any one of the resistance it can be connected in series. त्याच्या सिरीज मध्ये एखादा रेजिस्टन्स कनेक्ट केला तर त्या रेजिस्टन्सचा काही इफेक्ट होणार नाहीये. दॅट मीन्स इट विल नॉट चेंज द आउटपुट व्हॅल्यू ऑफ करंट. त्या हाय रेजिस्टन्सला कंपेअर करता जो आपण इन्सर्ट करणारा रेजिस्टन्स आहे इट इज निग्लिजिबल. So that means there is no effect on the output value of current. So that current produced by that current generator it should be constant. Then usefulness of the current generator for the sensor interface is in their ability to produce excitation current of precisely controlled magnitude and shape. Current generator ची जी काय ability असेल, so the ability to interface the sensor, it will produce the excitation current of precisely controlled magnitude. म्हणजे त्याची magnitude किंवा shape जो असेल तो precisely controlled असेल. Constant value आहे, that means त्याची magnitude किंवा amplitude आपण constant म्हणणार. Shape it should be depends upon whether it may be sine wave, whether it may be square wave. त्याचा shape पण काय राहील, precisely controlled राहील. So like that current generator, hence a current generator should not only produce a current which is load independent, but it also must be controllable from an external signal source, which in most cases has a voltage output. So hence current generator should not produce a current which is independent of the resistor, independent of the load resistor, or it may be load impedance, but it also must be controllable. So the controllable asset from an external signal source, which in most cases has a voltage output. There are two main characteristics of current generators: the output resistance and voltage compliance. So these are the two most important characteristics of current generator. Is that current generator, the output resistance and voltage compliances. So what is output resistance? So output resistance is high, as I have already told. Output resistance of current generator it should be high. Due to output resistance is bigger or it may be high, if any one of the resistance can be connected in series, then there is no effect of that resistance on the current generated. So current remains same. The output resistance should be high as a practical. The voltage compliances is the highest voltage which can be developed across the load without affecting the output current. Voltage compliances is what? It is the maximum voltage or highest voltage which can be developed across the load. Okay. त्या कॉन्स्टंट करंट मुळे लोडला जो काय रेजिस्टन्स असेल अकॉर्डिंग टू ओम्स लॉ V is equals to IR, तिथे जे काय व्होल्टेज जनरेट होईल दिस इज नथिंग बट कॉम्प्लायन्स व्होल्टेज. That voltage is nothing but highest voltage which can be developed across the load without affecting the output current. Output current ला affect न करता जे काय maximum voltage generate होईल load side ला this is nothing but voltage compliance. So the unipolar current generator, it is called either a current source generates the outflowing current or current sink generates the inflowing current. So there are again two types of current generator. First one is nothing but unipolar current generator, or it is called as current source. Current source काय करतोय? Current generate करेल and this current it will be flowing outside. And current sink is nothing but it is also one type of current generator. It will generate current inflowing. Sink माहिती आहे ना, हीट सिंक कसं म्हटलं, it will absorb that current. Similarly current sink is nothing but it will be flowing towards that device, inflowing current. Okay, so unipolar means that it can produce a current of any shape flowing in one direction only, usually towards the ground. Unipolar चं meaning काय झालं? It will produce a current only in one direction, usually it will flowing in towards the ground, and many of such generator utilize the current to voltage characteristics, C2V characteristics of transistor, and a voltage control current source or sink may include a operational amplifier. Okay, again हे जे circuit आहे it will made by using an op amp. Okay, op amp चा use करू. So again operational amplifier is there. Here it is resistance, now is grounded. Here it is resistance, and after that here it is current generator. हे जे circuit आहे ते implement केलं जाईल op amp चा use. That is operational amplifier. So this is current generator, which is used for active type of sensor to enable its operation. Next one device. काय झालं? हा पॉइंट एंड करून बस. Excitation circuit संपू. Voltage generator. Next one device is the voltage generator. See, as opposing to that of current generator. Voltage generator again it is an excitation device which is opposite to that of current generator. Voltage generator, or it is called as voltage source or voltage driver, must produce the output voltage which over a broad range of the load and operating frequency are independent of the load impedance and thus independent of the output. Opposite to that of current generator, voltage generator मध्ये it will generate the voltage. Again the value of that voltage is independent of the load impedance and independent of the load current. Current वरती आणि over a broad frequency range मध्ये ते generate करेल are independent of the load impedance and is also independent of the output current. Okay, so the voltage generator are called as hard voltage source. Voltage generator it is called as hard voltage source. When a sensor that has to be driven by a hard voltage is purely resistive, the driver can be simple output stage which can deliver a sufficient current value. See, when a sensor that has a driven by using an hard voltage source and that sensor it is a purely resistive, so sensor is RPD सारखा, okay, resistive, it is a purely resistive. A driver can be a simple output stage which can deliver a sufficient current value. त्या resistance का तो जो काय driver is nothing but hard voltage source, it will provide a sufficient current magnitude, right? It will provide a sufficient current magnitude. Okay, So however, when the load contains capacitors or inductance, and जर load RLC मध्ये असेल, not a purely resistance, it will include some capacitive part or inductive part. That is, the load is reactive or load is capacitive. The output stage of the voltage generator becomes a more complex. The load inductive किंवा capacitive असेल, in addition with inductive and capacitive, in addition with the inductive and capacitive, then the circuit, that is the voltage generator circuit, it is a more complex device. Okay, pure resistive असेल तर it is simple circuit. Okay, next one, excitation circuit is the voltage reference. Voltage reference. The voltage reference is an electronic device which is used for generating precisely non-constant voltage that is affected very little by variation in the power supply. Right? See, voltage reference, it is also one of the electronic device. It will also produce one of the constant voltage, but it is affected by very little variation in the supply voltage, as well as temperature, as well as load or aging and other factors. अजून काय voltage reference device असेल, voltage reference device असेल, this device is also produce a constant voltage, but this is affected by some of the factor, like it is affected by a power supply. म्हणजे power supply fluctuation झाला तर त्याच्या constant voltage value मध्ये काय होईल, change. If the temperature changes, then also constant value it will be changes. If the load it can be changes, its constant value it can be changes. If the age of that equipment, that means this equipment used for a long time, due to that it is affected, or some of the other environmental factors. So the many voltage references are available in the monolithic form for a large variety of output voltage. It is available in the monolithic form for a large variety of the output voltage, and most of them operate with the so-called internal band gap circuit. And याच्यामध्ये जे काही voltage references आहेत, it will be operated. It is called as band gap circuits. So a good voltage reference should be a good voltage source. That is, it shall possesses two critical features: have a very high stability of the output voltage and low output resistance. Okay, good voltage reference having an, these are the properties, or it possesses these two features. First one is nothing but it is having a high stability, very high stability of the output voltage and low output resistance. त्याचा काय output resistance असेल, it is low output resistance. And the last one, excitation circuit, it is nothing but reference. Is all question. Excitation circuit हे last one आहे, excitation circuit. हे खूप theory याच्यामध्ये. Slide कमी करतो. बरं. पुढच्या लेक्चर. Oscillator or oscillations. So oscillator are generator of variable electric signal. कधी oscillations form होतात? कधी oscillations form होतात? Resonance condition कोणते? Which one is the resonance condition? बारावी केली सगळ्यांनी? नाही. फिजिक्स प्रॅक्टिकल केले. एक ट्विनिंग फोर्स होता, त्याचा ऑसिलेशन व्हायब्रेशन ते मॅग्नेटिक होतं ना. सगळं झालं ना काय सांगायचं नाही तुला ठीक आहे oscillator are generator of variable electric signal it is also one type of generator having an variable electrical signal some of them are for generating a single signal wave त्याच्यामध्ये काही सिंगल सिग्नल वेव्ह जनरेट करतील called as one shot while other are free running जे सिंगल सिग्नल जनरेट करतात is called as one shot while other are free running other जे आहेत oscillator it is free running any oscillator essentially is comprised of a circuit with gain stage non-linearity and a certain amount of positive feedback. So any one of the oscillator which is comprised with the gain stage, तो oscillator control system मध्ये यूज केला की gain stage ला तो कंपेराइज केला जातो as well as non-linearity as well as certain amount of positive feedback ला तो कंपेराइज करतो. By definition, an oscillator it is an unstable circuit. Oscillator ची definition by the definition oscillator it is an unstable circuit as opposed to an amplifier that better be stable whose timing characteristics are either steady or changeable according to the predetermined functional dependence. See, oscillator it is oscillations कधी form होतात oscillation is nothing but one type of instability right unique force चे oscillation आपण कशावरती hammer करत होतो किंवा मारत होतो त्यावेळेस ते oscillate होते बरोबर so it is nothing but by definition it is an unstable circuit it is an unstable circuit so whose timing characteristics are either steady or changeable according to the predetermined functional dependence म्हणजे त्याच्या अगोदर फंक्शन काय झालंय त्याच्यावरती डिपेंड राहील oscillation ची कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स टायमिंग कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स स्टेडी असेल की चेंजेबल असेल ओके सो the latter it is called as modulation generally there are three types of electronic oscillator classified according to their time keeping component so in that first one RC LC and crystal oscillator okay RC resistor capacitor LC inductive capacitors and the crystal oscillator is nothing but mechanical okay so in our watch there is a one oscillator असतो का असतो का कोणता असतो which one कोणता असतो क्रिस्टल कोणता क्रिस्टल वॉचमध्ये लिहिलेलं असेल आरएनसी असतो क्वार्टर्स क्रिस्टल असतो क्वार्टर्स क्रिस्टल so there are three types of oscillator RC LC and crystal oscillator an RC oscillator is called a relaxation oscillator because its functionality is based on the capacitor discharge relaxation of the charge RC oscillator it is also called as relaxation oscillator का relaxation म्हणायचं because its functionality it is based on capacitor discharge capacitor discharge झाला म्हणजे त्याच्यामध्ये आयन जे आहेत ते रिलॅक्स होतात बरोबर जे आयन एक्सचेंज होत नाही किंवा मूवमेंट होत नाहीये कॅपॅसिटर डिस्चार्ज झाला की त्याचे जे काय आयन्स असतील ते रिलॅक्स होतील सो रिलॅक्सेशन ऑफ द चार्ज सो इट इज कॉल्ड एज रिलॅक्सेशन ऑसिलेटर इट इज नथिंग बट आरसी ऑसिलेटर the operating frequency it is defined by the capacitor C कॅपॅसिटर वरती त्याची ऑपरेटिंग फ्रिक्वेन्सी किती आहे ते डिफरन्स असेल that means according to formula Xc is equals to 1 upon 2 pi Fc so that frequency will be depends upon that value of capacitor okay and resistor and LC oscillator contain a capacitive C and inductive L component that define the operating frequency so LC type of oscillator operating frequency F is equals to क्या तो formula F is equals to frequency, oscillator frequency F is equals to, in case of FC, 1 upon under root of LC na, 1 upon under root of LC, it is F is equals to 1 upon under root of LC. So it will contain capacitive and inductive component that define the operating frequency. In a crystal oscillator, operating frequency is defined by the mechanical resonance in the specific cut of piezoelectric crystal, usually quartz crystal or ceramic crystal. So many free running oscillator like multivibrator can be built with the logic circuit, for instance, with using an NOR gate, NAND gate, or binary inverter. So this circuit possesses the input non-linearity, nothing but input side la त्याचा unstability असेल, such as threshold that upon crossing produce sharp transient at the output. Also, many multivibrators can be designed with the comparator or operational amplifier having a high open loop gain. Many of multivibrator is nothing but free running oscillator. It can be designed with by using a comparator or by using an operational amplifier having a high open loop gain. The operational amplifier open loop gain high असेल. In all these oscillators, a combination of capacitor and resistor or a crystal is a time keeping combination. जसे काय all oscillator असतील. In that all types of oscillator, combination of capacitor and resistor, or a crystal, it is a time keeping combination. Okay. Then last one slide is that in a RC multivibrator, voltage across a charging or discharging capacitor is compared with either constant or changing threshold. What is threshold? Threshold value, threshold voltage or threshold value of that is predetermined value of the threshold. So in an RC multivibrator, the voltage across the charging and discharging capacitor, it is compared with either constant value or changing threshold value. Okay. So आपण threshold value consider करतो. So त्याच्याशी compare केली जाईल त्याचं voltage. When a capacitor charges, the moment of threshold crossing is detected and causing generation of the output pulse transient. So ज्यावेळेस capacitor charge होईल, so there is a threshold value, it will be crossed. जे काय set केली किंवा reference value आहे, if it is crossed, then it will cause the generation of output pulse transient. त्याच्यामुळे output pulse काय होतं generate होतील. So the transient is fed back to the RC network. The transient RC network ला back fed केली जाते. That is positive feedback to cause the capacitor discharging, and that goes on until the next moment of the comparator and generation of another pulse transient. Then the cycle repeats. This basic principle essentially requires the following minimum component. First one is nothing but capacitor. Second one is nothing but charging circuit and threshold device. So a very popular free running square wave oscillator can be built up by using an op amp and by using voltage comparator. So diagram of by using op amp, the oscillator it can be designed. So this is the oscillator designed by using op amp. So this oscillator by using operational amplifier use of packet design. So see here it is sawtooth wave किंवा triangular wave आहे, त्याचे कन्वर्जन पल्स मध्ये होते. ओके, और युनिट स्टेपचा स्टेप किंवा पल्स मध्ये त्याचे कन्वर्जन केलं जाते बाय युजिंग oscillator. So this is the electronic circuit design of oscillator. So this is related to excitation circuit. This excitation circuit which is used to excite the active type of sensor, right? Active type of sensor. To enable that sensor operation, we are using excitation circuit, and these are the different types of excitation circuit, which is depends upon types of sensor, So, or operation of that sensor, like some RTD or thermistor type sensor, some of the humidity type of sensor or pressure type of sensor. So some that sensor, active sensor which required excitation, and that type of excitation it will be active. So there are that four types of excitation. Okay. So remaining part we will see in the next lecture, that is analog to digital converter. संपूर्ण टाकून लगेच प्रश्न टाकून आई सीला